Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole and I'm back with another video in our Christmas in July series using Creative Memories Joy to the World paper pack. So this layout is mostly to show you this fun border idea where we're going to mix the music staff and the nativity together, but also because we had this extra leftover piece from the very first layout that we did, and I wanted to incorporate that. So for this one, we're going to use, for the background, I used these two yellow stripe papers. We're going to use the back side. You could really use anything that you wanted to for this. You could do this straight on your album page. You could do it on plain white paper. I just find that I'm not using so much of the stripes. I have done already a couple of layouts using this yellow stripe paper with the nativity, and so just to make my own scrapbooks look not too much same, I'm using the back. So this is just the little polka dots, and they are kind of this gold color, which isn't anywhere else in the paper, but I don't think you're going to see that. And then we're going to use one piece of the green on green stripe for the background of our borders. We're going to use two pieces of Firecracker Shimmer. One is going to be to punch the borders and the little scallop edge. And then if you did the first layout with me, we're going to use this circle piece that's left over. If you didn't do that layout, you can cut one of these. This was an 11-inch circle, so you could do it with the jumbo circle, or you could do it with the the circle cutter, or you could leave this part out. And I'm going to show it to you both ways. You're also going to need a little bit extra of this holly paper to kind of even things up. That's kind of optional as well, but that's what I did. So we're going to start mostly by punching the border. And I did try this with a bunch of different color combinations, but I liked the red the best. Every year my husband and I sing in a Christmas choir, and we have a nativity festival. So this is going to be perfect for those layouts. And like I said, my pictures are coming. I have a couple others, and I tried playing with some pictures like from when I was a little kid, but they just didn't work as well with this music and nativity thing. So the trick to this one is figuring out how to align these so that you get the full design. Because of course, when you punch, normally you have the black line to tell you where to start, and then you just cover up anything that's left on here. But when you're punching two different shapes, you have to kind of play around with it. So if you want to do this with the different punches, highly recommend it. Use some scrap paper and kind of figure out where it matches the best. But I'm going to show you what I learned with this one. So I liked it better. I like the nativity side better, where we're going to start with the nativity music. But because I went all the way across, and that would be totally optional. If you wanted to just do a single page layout, that would be super fast and easy. You could do it either way. So I'm going to show you both ways and show you the trick about how to match up these punches. So I'm going to zoom down. All right, and we're going to start by punching with the music notes. Now I'm going to start with the nativity. I like the nativity one the best. So we're going to start like normal. We're going to punch with the black line right here, making sure that we're lined up with the black line here and that we're holding the paper against the fence, okay? And punch down. So what we're going to use now to match our next piece is this star. And there are three little prongs on the star. There's the top point, there are the side points, and then there's this kind of in-between. It's this in-between point, not the one on the top, not the one that points out to the side, this in-between point that we're going to use to align our punch. So we punched the nativity, and now I want to take the music notes punch, and we're not going to use any of these lines. We can't use this because, of course, this doesn't match up. But I'm going to take that that middle punch, that middle spine ray of the star, and I want that middle ray to go right to the white edge of the punch. You see that? That middle piece, not the side by side, not that vertical one. that middle one that's kind of pointing at about 10:30 if this were a clock, and then we're going to punch. And that's going to give us a little, you know, enough of a bar right here between the two. We are going to have to trim off some little strings, and that's okay. And then the next piece, now we're going to go back to the nativity punch. And this time we're going to use the treble clef. And this time we're going to use this inside piece of the treble clef. Where did I put my multi-purpose tool? I could point with that. All right, I don't have my multi-purpose tool because it's somewhere else, but right here, this little piece of the treble clef is what we're going to use to align. And we're going to align that also with the same white line. The white outside edge of the punch, I want to be just right up against this. Right up against here, the treble clef. That's what you want to, that's how you want to position it. Again, making sure that you're holding this flush up against the fence. But if you put that treble clef just touching the white and punch, that's going to give you the right kind of centering. Okay, so now we're going to go back. We're going to do the same thing with the star. That middle piece touching the white. Holding this back right here. And then we'll close it out by doing the nativity. So again, the treble clef right along that white edge and punch the nativity. I do want to give credit for this idea to one of my Creative Memories team members, Kimberly Ciccinelli, who came up with this idea and is teaching it to her customers this month as well. But when she showed it to me on our team meeting, I love, because I sing in this Christmas festival that has the nativities and the choir, it was just perfect. So this one I started with the nativity, but I want to do this across two layouts. So before I trim my paper, I'm just going to go ahead and punch the other side. And this time I'm going to start with the music staff. And it's the same matching rules, right? So we're going to now line up the treble clef with the edge of that white. And it really is helpful if I just keep both of these right here. The middle section, that 10 o'clock section of the star touching the white. Then the treble clef again. And the measurement on this is not exactly, and I don't know if it's the same all the time or just because we're overlapping 3, but this last treble clef is we're not going to get the ending of the little music staff. But I've still got my little point of my star touching that edge. Hopefully everybody can, this is like the hardest one for me to explain. But you see that middle section between the vertical and the horizontal, that one's touching the white edge of this punch, and then I'll punch the last one, and you see it didn't cut the last bit of the staff. It cut a little tiny bit of that off, but that is okay. We don't really need that. So let's zoom back out, and we're done with these punches. So I'm going to get those out of my way, and I'm going to grab my 12-inch trimmer. I guess I could have kept zoomed in a little bit more. But the way we want to position this to cut, as you can see, the nativity punch has a little bit more of a floor. Okay, so right here, this bumps up a little bit higher than under the music staff. So the nativity punch is one of the punches that stay attached, and the music notes is a chain. So this piece where it goes up high, that's what I'm going to use to position my next cut. And I'm going to position that, making sure that this is straight up against the top, but so that little piece right here behind the nativity where my thumbnail is, I'm going to put that on the 1/8 inch line, which is not the cutting line, it's the next line right here on the trimmer. So this little piece of ground behind the nativity on these two sections is going to be touching the touching the 1/8 inch line. You could do it a little bit more. Actually, look at that. The little star is touching the 1.5 inch line. So that's also a good way to know if your measurement is right. And that's going to just give us an even bottom. We're going to trim all that off. So I think this time I'm just going to try positioning it on the 1.5 inch line. I wish I would have. So that's not quite, I don't feel like that's, oh, I guess that is right here. That does do that 1/8 of an inch. So this one is lower because it's the chain. So yeah, if you put the tippity top of the star at the 1.5 inch line, actually that's a much better measurement. And that just cuts you this piece. That's just the right size. And then you're just going to take your scissors, I like the micro tip scissors, and clean this guy up. So we're just going to trim off the little pieces at the top of the music staff. If you were punching just the music staff, you wouldn't have these little hairy pieces because it would, you know, the next piece would punch it. And then we're going to cut the bottom. And what I did was I went down here on the grass, and I'm just going to kind of cut along this last piece of the grass. Let's see if I can zoom back in. I guess I unzoomed too soon. Okay, so this little piece of grass right here, I'm just going to trim right there along the grass. Okay, and then right here along the bottom of the music staff. And then the same thing on this side with the little piece of grass on that side. Okay, so the grass, the little end piece of the music staff. Well, I'm going to cut this piece off first. It'll be easier to trim that. And this is totally a personal preference. And if you wanted to keep this longer, you could cut, like put this at, you know, the edge of your trimmer and leave like a floor. But I like it as a chain. I feel like just the free floating nature of it makes a neat look. Okay, so I'm just going to trim all of those. I know it's a little hard to see. Just going to trim all these little pieces off. So you can do this with a lot of punches. You can mix and match. You just have to kind of figure out where they attach and how much spacing you need to have in between. But I think that the music and the nativity go so well together for Christmas, because Christmas and, you know, nativities just work really well. Okay, so those are our two little borders. So one of them starts with, you know, nativity, music nativity, and the other is music nativity. And again, you don't have to do it like this. You could do them both the same if you prefer, but I don't like things to be too same. All right, and I also can't bear to leave this trash on my table. I'm gonna have to scoop it down into the trash. If you guys could see my trash can right now with how many piles of scraps there are, because I tried this in so many different color combinations, you would laugh. Okay, now we're gonna cut the background for the border, and I'm gonna use that green stripe. And we want that to be 2 inches. And you want to make sure when you cut, of course, that you're cutting across the stripe. So turn your stripes horizontally in the trimmer. And because it's 2 inches, I can't cut it on this side. I've got to cut it this way. So we're going to cut 2 2-inch strips with this green stripe. And that's all we're using for this one. And then we're going to punch our borders. Now, you could, if you were super frugal and you wanted to, you could easily cut punch one border strip and cut it in half. That's too fussy for me. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut 6 of these borders with the double scallop chain border maker cartridge. This is one of my favorites. If you don't have this one, I think this is one of the most versatile that we have. Some of the punches are super theme specific and others are very, very neutral. And this one I think is so versatile, and I hope that you will think so too. So I've put my paper in my border maker. Hopefully you know how to use the border maker already, but it's always good to have a reminder. So I'm going to make sure that it's lined up against the edge. This lip, make sure that it's positioned where it needs to be. Fold the tray out of the way and snap it in. And then I'm going to go ahead and punch down, making sure that my my punch is right up against the edge. Sometimes people are in a hurry and you don't press it all the way in, and you can get a little bit of a ski-wampus line. I'm sorry, that's the only word I could think of, but you want this to be as straight as you can, because you are going to use the border, the outside as a border. It's a little harder to hide your mistakes if you mess up. So this is the Firecracker Shimmer. I don't know if I mentioned that, but a Firecracker Shimmer is what I cut my nativities out of. You could probably use cranberry. You could use a different color. You could use platinum shimmer if you wanted to, especially if you're using different colors of paper. Maybe you don't want this red and green. When my pictures arrive, which is supposed to be like in 2 days, I'm anxiously stalking the mail. I have some pictures from our Christmas festival that I plan to put on this layout. And my daughter and I are both in it, and we're wearing red shirts. So I think you'll like those pictures. I'm excited to do a little catch up on one of the videos, and I will make sure to put it in the description of whichever video arrives, gets filmed after those pictures have arrived. I thought I had more pictures printed than I did. The pictures that I used in the last video were from 2020, and those were the only Christmas pictures I have. I think there might be more Christmas pictures because I'm not in any of those, but we always do a shared family album, and there are no pictures of me, but I was there for Christmas. So hopefully I've got some more pictures I can still print. And who knows, if this series keeps going, I might have to be putting out a plea for somebody else to give me some Christmas pictures that I can scrapbook. That was not an invitation. Please do not start sending me your Christmas pictures yet. But maybe next summer that's what I'll do. If we do another Christmas in July, I'll do something to get pictures from you guys to scrapbook. So, okay, now I'm going to get all this confetti out of the way again. So I have 6 strips cut with the double scallop chain border maker cartridge. And I broke my own rule. I've told you in the past, I really like to have a piece of paper under my punching so that when I scoop all this out of the way, it stays on the paper. But now I'm just swooping it off my table and onto a piece of paper and then into the trash can, which lives on the floor right here next to my workspace. Okay, so I've got my 2 little 2-inch strips. I've got my punched borders, and I've got my scallop edge borders. And now I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive, and somewhere I have my little repositionable mat. Oh. Y'all, I just made the sample, so I don't know where the repositionable mat could be. Oh, behind me. Okay, sorry about that. Live TV, right? I know we're not live, but you know what I mean. Okay, so, and I do love this one. I hope Creative Memories will bring it back. This is just a silicone mat. If you don't have this one from Creative Memories, what I had before was just a piece of a silicone baking mat that I ordered this on Amazon, and I cut it. It was a 16 by 20, and I cut it into 4-inch strips, and this was a gift at one of my National Scrapbook Days a couple of years ago. Something like this works great. You can take a piece of cardboard and put parchment paper over it. You can use a divider from the Power Layouts. Lots of ways you can do it. You don't want to use this on your regular cutting mat because it leaves that sticky residue I was talking about in another video. So with this, there is a front side and a back side. Just know that the treble clef needs to face in this direction. If you do it this way, your music is going to be backwards. So the treble clef needs to look like a G, like a letter G. So I'm going to take my repositionable adhesive and just kind of generously go across here. And then I'm going to take, you can use this or you can use your cutting mat. And I'm going to take the edge of the music notes, and it's going to be at the 3/8 of an inch line here on the bottom. On both sides, 3/8 of an inch. And that just helps you know that it's straight. So actually I'm going to pull out my real cutting mat. I feel like this one shows better. Okay. That's not straight. And again, this is if you don't care, if you're not as picky and it looks fine to you and you're fine with that, then I envy you. But I just feel like I need to have it as precise as I can. Okay, so when you're lining up the music note side, you want to put that at the 3. So line up your paper. It's a 2-inch paper. Line it up along the grid, and the 3/8 inch is where you want to put your music notes on both sides at the 3/8 inch. And then when you do the other one, because these are different heights, like we saw when we were cutting, and I really like to make sure I put adhesive on the star. I found out if I didn't do that, that piece kind of tended to kind of buckle up on my layout. Okay, so there's the next one, and this time because the edge is the nativity and not the music notes, this is at the 1/4 inch. The edge of this nativity goes at the 1/4 inch, and that gives you pretty much the same same configuration. Although now that I'm here, this angel, her little edge of her little skirt is not as long as this, so that's actually right there at that 3/8 of an inch. So those are my 2 border strips ready to go. This one needs a little smidge more adhesive, I think. Okay, and then we're going to do the double scallop, and I'm going to put adhesive like in the middle and along one side. You know, I want one side to stay clean, but you can go a little bit off the edge on the other direction because we're going to cover that up. If you wanted to, you could cut this down the middle using your 12-inch trimmer, but I am not as precise as I need to be. And I just did that totally wrong. I went across the middle, but that's okay because it's repositionable. Okay, so I've put my adhesive so that it's in this middle section and on one side because I'm going to line up my border with the edge of this middle section. And you could leave a little bit of a red line if you want to. In fact, maybe I will. On my sample, I did not, but I think on this one I will. I'll leave a little bit of a red line. I'll have to clean off. This is where I got too enthusiastic with that repositionable adhesive. So I've left a little bit of a red, and then all the rest is just hiding in the back. And I'm going to do the same thing, making sure that my adhesive stays on the one side, especially now because I'm leaving that red line. And yes, I know I cut 6 and we only need 4 for the border, but we're going to use those with the stickers. All right, so there's my finished little border. And so of course you could go this far and use this on any layout. You don't have to follow the rest of the layout directions, but I like to finish it up. I like to I don't do a lot of borders. I do borders, but I don't pre-make a lot of borders. I like to use a border in conjunction with the page idea. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the whole page. I'd love to know in the comments, how do you feel about borders? Would you guys like to see just some borders and have me not finish the page, or do you like having the whole finished page? Tell me what you think. I know that there are people out there who really love borders, and I know that like on the CM blog, we have some blog designers that do lots and lots of borders, and I want to love them. I just make them, if I make them and I don't put them immediately on a page, I often don't use them at all. So, all right, so there's our two finished borders. We're gonna save these other two punched out pieces for later on, and then I can move this out of the way. And what now I'm going to do is set up my base page using these this yellow stripe. Okay, and I mean you could do it this way if you wanted to. I won't stick anything down yet, but that's kind of too many stripes, I think. You could do it that way. I don't know. Too stripey for me, although I do love the gold. So I'm going to use this polka dot on the back. And like I said, I think in an earlier video or in my intro at the beginning of this series, I am using multiple packs of Joy to the World for this summer, this July, Christmas in July activity. But use whatever papers you have. I'd love for you to use up some of your stash. So this is the circle paper that we had left over from the first layout I did, the circle weave. Actually, before I do this, I want to show you how it would look if you don't do this. You could just use this as a border along the bottom of your page. Okay, and put your pictures however you like. Very simple. I know a lot of people love a simple scrapbooking style. In the sticker pack, we do have the music notes. So, and I felt like they looked better if they were backed on this, but you could absolutely, you know, end your layout right here, and I think it would look very nice. A very simple layout. Some of these, I know that some of these ones that we do on YouTube tend to be a little bit over the top, you know, but here's where I put the music notes stickers on top of that double scallop. And then of course I cut some mats, but we have this piece left over. And so I hate to waste it. And I love, because we cut the middle part out, we measured and cut exactly from the center. And because I do this technique a lot, I end up with these negative spaces. So I'm going to cut this in half. So this is a 12-inch. So I'm going to put this at the 6-inch. I'm going to cut here, and have these two pieces of the holly paper. And actually, I'm going to pull out another piece of the holly paper. I should have had that out already for you. But we're going to use, I just need two. I think I'm actually going to cut 4. If you have a scrap of this holly paper, that's great. If you measure correctly, you only need 2. All right, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to cut 2 1/2-inch strips. Again, the 1/2 inch is this first, the beginning of the grid on the short side right here. I'm going to cut 2 1/2-inch strips. For whatever reason, cutting 1/2-inch, 1/4-inch, those kind of smaller sizes is harder for me. I tend to cut crooked more often than not. So, and then I'm going to cut these both in half at 6 inches. And I have done this particular technique several times, where I've used the negative space as the back, as kind of a frame around my page. And I just think it gives it a nice look. I guess I also could have told you, if you didn't want to cut this and you wanted to do this as a single page, you could have left this hole and just left this hole and done your layout like this. And then you would have had just a single page, and it kind of gives it almost like a snow globe look, which I think is really cool. So if you just want to do a single page, don't cut that. Sorry, I should have said that before, but because I did the double page, I think in double page layouts. So that's what I did here. So we're going to take 1/2 of this and stick this on to the background page. You could always do this on like a piece of white cardstock, or if you use the CM regular pages, you could do it right on your white page. And just kind of line this up as best you can so that you get it nice and straight. All right, and because I know that this was an 11-inch circle when I cut it, that's how I know that this is a 1/2 inch. If you have a different size, you know, if you have a smaller, or you used the custom cutting system instead of the circle cutter, this little border might be a different size. All right, and then we'll just butt this up against here. And even though it's, I mean, I've just patched that, you totally, I mean, it's a busy enough pattern that you really can't tell that that's a patch. You know, it just lines up so well. So if you were doing a different kind of paper, you might want to cut this, cut these a little bit longer. That's what I was originally saying. I was going to cut 4, cut it a little bit longer so that you could match your edges. But for this one, I don't need to do that. All right, so there's one side, and then we'll do the same thing with the other side. Just putting this frame around. Actually, I think that I'm filming this layout a little ahead, so because I have time today, but I think I'll be able to come back and add the photos before I post this. Because this was Kimberly's idea, I'm not going to post this layout until she has had a chance to teach it in person at her own event. So we may be coming back with actual photos on this before it gets posted. You guys will be the first to know. All right. Okay, so now I've got this oval frame. You guys probably have seen this before from me because I have done it. And what I liked to do with this, I looked at it a couple of different ways. I mean, you could go and leave the white at the bottom. Actually, this time I didn't. On the first one, I put it all the way to the bottom so I had the green along, but now that I'm looking at it, I kind of like it with the white showing. So this one's going to be a little bit different. And we're just going to put this so that it has a little bit of white. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the base of my border up. I know that this is a 1/2 inch. I'm going to line the base of my border up at about the 1 inch line. So that, and I think I'm going to line the green part, the stripe, and not the edge of the, not the edge of the scallop, but that green right there at the 1 inch. But that's, you know, so that's already like 3 inches of my layout that's used up. So you may not want to go down that far, but you can adjust it, and you know, I'll put them next to each other in a minute so you can see the difference between what it looks like if you cover up the green down there at the bottom or if you don't. Oh, almost put it on upside down. I did try this putting the music stuff at the top, but because it's so wide, I've talked before about visual weight. And I just feel like when you have a really wide border and a skinny border, it looks better to have the wide one at the bottom. And then I'm waiting on my CM order that has my other sticker strips. So I'm just going to be putting the, punched border on for now. And then when my order comes in, I will grab this back and we'll finish it off with the stickers. And this one, again, I want to leave a little bit of that showing. So put that right about the 1. So this did really limit how much space I have. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Once I get the, I'm using repositionable. No, did I use repositionable? No, I didn't. I used regular. Oh, well, I guess that's where it's staying. Probably should have used repositionable for this one, but oh well. Just line that up again at 1 inch. I really love having a grid to do my measurements against. For some reason, this is not lining up exactly. It's a little bit wide. I wonder if I went off the edge a little bit. You know that our paper has a little bit of a tolerance, manufacturing tolerance. It can be sometimes as much of 1/8 of an inch. I like to have the middle be the one that looks, if there's excess, I like it to be at the outside. So you see that this one, there was a little, like it didn't go quite to the edge, but you're never going to see that because it's on the outside edge. But this one did, so who knows what I did wrong here. And so then we'll take the music note sticker, and I'll put that over the top on both of these. So here's the one you can see where it's kind of, it covered up down at the bottom, and here's the one where we left a little bit of a gap, and then you can just adjust your mats. I just put these on with Repo, of course, and you could just decide what you wanted to do, how you wanted to do your pictures. I think mine, actually, I have some horizontal photos, and so because I moved this so far up, it'll be harder to do horizontal photos. Although, don't be afraid to cover up your borders. Remember that your scrapbook should be about your photos more than about your borders. So these are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mats. You can do whatever you like. And of course, if you mess up in your punching, this is a great time to cover it up with the photo mat. So there's the finished-ish layout. I guess I'll put it back on here so you can see it with the sticker. I'm using stickers for the stickers from my stash. I've got more coming, and so I may there's some stickers I think that have to do with singing, but in my stickers that I have, I've used the stickers already. But I think one of these says something about singing. I think this one says Joy to the World. And so I might use that one. I don't know. Peace and joy. I kind of like that. Merry Christmas. So I'll figure that out when I put my pictures on. So later on, when we get to the part where I'm showing you all the finished layouts, you'll be able to see what, how I ended up finishing this. But for now, if you have your photos printed, hooray for you. You can, don't wait for me. You can go on without me. But hopefully you can see that what your options are as far as putting this together. But the main thing I wanted to show you was how to create this 2-part border, and then what to do with that extra circle we had left over from the first layout. Okay, friends, I'm back a couple of days later. I got my pictures and I put them on, and it looks completely different than the sample that I did that only had 4 photos. I did print some of my photos at 3x4. I use an app called Print to Size that allows me to put 2 4x6 photos together on a 4x6 and have that printed out as a 4x6. And so I was able to fit these pictures in. But these are the pictures I was telling you about from the Christmas festival. We all got our red shirts, and I think it looks great. I love it with the pictures. I liked it a lot without the pictures, but tucking it in, sorry, I tucked this in here. I just looked at this, I'm like, oh, I should tuck that in, but then I'll lose the Viking hat, so I'm not going to do that. But getting the pictures on makes such a difference. And so I hope that these layouts that you're creating, that you are putting pictures on them either as soon as you finish them or soon after. Don't just let these molder in a drawer or in a file folder. But I added a couple of stickers on some pop dots and some journaling. And usually I like to do, the rule of 3. But I think that this border strip at the bottom counts as my 3rd element. I don't feel like I need anything else. I played around with a couple other things down here, and it was just too much. I have little names, the little journaling. There's a couple names here of people that I don't actually know their names. I have to talk to my friends and figure out who they are. And I may put in a little pocket pull out for the names. I may not. Same with this side. People. One of these people that I don't actually know her name was our first time singing together in the choir, and so I don't know her name. But everybody else, if I knew their names, I've put it on there, and I think it turned out great. So hopefully I'll have pictures for all the rest of my layouts as we go, but I got to tell you that I really don't have that many Christmas pictures, so we'll see how it goes. But this is the finished layout, and I will use this on the thumbnail for the YouTube video so everybody will know that I did actually put pictures on this page. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you again soon with another edition of the Christmas in July YouTube series using Joy to the World from Creative Memories. Thanks, and happy scrapbooking.